It is Thursday, June 5th, 2025. On this day in history, Ronald Reagan passed away. Of course, in Gematria, Ronald Reagan equates to 56, like the majority of the world writes 5-6. Also on this day, 5 years ago, Black Lives Matter was painted on Church Street, aka 16th Street. And of course, Black Lives Matter equates to 56, the same way Ronald Reagan does. Society of Jesus also equates to 56, and they serve the Catholic Church, and they were created in the 16th century and moved the capital to DC. That's why Church Street is 16th Street. But yeah, again, the occult. They're into things like Kabbalah, and within Kabbalah, there's the practice of coding numbers into words, and seemingly no one really wants to talk about this topic. I've seen very few people who have a platform on YouTube who do daily content ever cover this topic, even though they're aware of it. And I do find it very strange because I have never come across any kind of knowledge that is more revealing. And for the people who come by and leave comments like Gematria is not the end all, again, that's never been said, but I really wish what people like you would come on and do is call into these shows and tell me what knowledge you're aware of that reveals more about what's taking place in the world we're living in now. Kind of beside the point from the topic of today's show, I do want to begin with the caller yesterday who wanted us to watch a clip of his call into the Archaic show. This is actually a relatively long discussion between these two. But I just wanted to start right here. And again, a lot of you guys, when you discuss what I'm talking about here, make sure you've written some kind of elevator speech or you got some solid talking point when you're trying to share this knowledge. I see a lot of people who say, I tried to share this with my friends and family and they thought it was stupid. I want you to watch what happens. In this moment, we have Keith on the Archaics channel. And Archaics is Jason, and he asked Keith, he says, so what's this Zachary K. Hubbard's work all about? Like, here, I'm going to watch how this plays out, because Keith's on here to share my work. Imagine how the audience might receive this response. Again, you guys, we got to do better. This knowledge is important to get out there, and this response, it just almost leaves me dumbfounded. I'm like, here's a guy who's trying to get it out, but this is what he responds with. Watch this. This just blows my mind. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to let this play. And if you guys want to call in during the show, I will open up the phone line here very shortly. I listen to the question Jason's about to ask, and then think about how you'd respond. I'd like to hear some of those calls today. So listen to what Jason's going to say, the question he's going to ask. Listen to how Keith responds, but then think about how you might have responded to the question. So here we go.
But yeah,
so
man,
what is his core message? This dude, Zach.
And you know, he deals with a lot of trolls. I think he gives them a little too much play, but sometimes he can get away from the core message because there's so much noise, and you're dealing with this, but you got an army of people helping you. I don't think he does. But the core message is just for people to look at it and recognize, all right, something's not right. But, you know, it's gotten gambling wrapped around it now because that's the only way he can seem to get viewers, and people care about sports and, you know, that kind of thing. It's just tough, man. It's tough.
Right.
But the ciphers that we use, Manly P. Hall, 1926, Secret Teachings of All Ages. At that time, he says, so when you use that one website that does the math for you on all the words, it's called the Gematrinator. The dude that built that site, it's basically like an Excel sheet hidden behind a website, but the dude that built that site knows Zach, and he built the site to prove whatever he thought Gematria was, like to say that, you know, this is BS. So he builds the Excel sheet and says, man, this is for real, and then turns it into a website, and now he's got ads all over the place. But the four main ciphers that we use is from Manly P. Hall. Like, we didn't make, you know, Zach didn't make this stuff up. Manly P. Hall said it. So at that time, I think he said that there were at least 100 like secret societies or organizations that was using it. He kind of left it up to the reader. He almost threw it out like, oh, this might be important.
Okay. he doesn't get to what the core message is. And I just think that what I would expect people to say, and please call him with your own thought too, but what I'd expect someone to say is, well, his core message is that if you learn this Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words and pay attention to how this knowledge is used every single day, you'll see how the news media is scripted and the propaganda is created, how the elections are rigged, how the market's rigged, how crypto's rigged, how the sports games are rigged. And it's very powerful because of its diversity of use and how it is very reliable. And you can literally see every single day how this is in use. And it all starts to make sense because, again, everybody knows, well, not everybody, but a lot of people know the history of this nation, how it was founded by Masons and Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah, where this whole Gematria thing comes from. That's what I would expect. Not, oh, well, I kind of, I mean, what if, well, the trolls kind of take them, just, what? Dude. So anyway, I had to respond back to Keith through text message. I said, I watched your clip and your response was pitiful. And I could tell he got annoyed through the text message. But again, you guys, I'm a very direct person. Your response was pitiful. And if I recall, Keith did say he was a flat earther. So again, you guys, part of the reason I don't want to associate with flat earthers is because I don't think very highly of flat earthers. And this right here kind of is resonating with why, oh yeah, Keith's a flat earther. So I guess I can understand why he responded the way he did. In another sense, I do appreciate you're trying to get the work out there, but this is not helping. That does not help. And it shouldn't be that hard to communicate what the core message is since I'm articulating it every single day. And I don't know how anyone else could come up with a much different phrase for what the core message is. So yeah, maybe I will actually try to reach out and talk to Archaics, but I did watch this all the way through while I was doing my work this morning. And Archaic said he's never looked into the Jesuits. Yeah, Archaic is like almost every other half-truther on YouTube, blames everything on the small hats. How can you not look into the Jesuits? I mean, and that just goes to show, too, that part of the reason everyone blames everything on the small hats is because that's the echo chamber online in the conspiracy community, that it all goes back to the small hats. And remember, the Jesuits, you know, they do have a definite small hat connection, and they are using their knowledge, but to never look into the Jesuits, again, something that was a large part of the reason this nation was created, what founders warned about, what Lincoln blamed the Civil War on, the people who gave us the calendar. Here's a guy trying to understand calendars and patterns on calendars, and you've never looked into the people who gave you the actual calendar? And again, you guys, there's a reason that Archaic's channel's been able to grow. Every time I've gotten to right on the cusp of 100K subs, the channel's been deleted. Just boom, deleted. That's why we're on channel 25. There's a reason Archaics is allowed to, you know, do what he does with the numbers that, I don't know, to me doesn't really lead to anything and brings you to all the wrong conclusions. And by the way, Keith, I told you this when you came on last time. I said he talks about 138 all the time, so maybe show him that the Jesuits were established on the day leaving 138 days left in the year, August 15th. I watched this all the way through. You did not do that. So, anyway, got to do better. Got to do better. And I get tired of people crying about how I'm not the nicest. Zach, you're not nice. That's why people don't. You guys, there's people who are total dickheads and total assholes and pieces of shit that have millions of followers. Doesn't have anything to do with how nice you are. And niceness is also something that can be a major problem. There's a lot of people that try to be nice when there's no reason to be nice. Keith really wanted us to watch that yesterday, like it was so important. Then I watch it, and I'm cringing all morning. So anyhow, the next person I want to address is Brian. And like I said, it seems quite apparent to me that Brian is not a shill. He's another person who blames everything on the small hats, and he's mocked in the past my work on the Jesuits on his streams. And you know, Brian's also gone way out of his way to slander my name and say that he knows I'm a very bad person, that he knows I have a bad heart. And that's all because I called him out on his grift in the past. But you know that Brian is actually full of shit because he said he would never debate me because I used an ad hominem attack on him. Meanwhile, he's marketed debates with people who have lots of subs like Owen Benjamin, and he's marketed it through the ad hominem attacks they did on him. So it's like, oh, so you'll debate them even though they went on a much worse diatribe than anything I said. And what I said about Brian at the time was totally fair in my opinion. But that said, Brian is still my favorite half-truther on YouTube. And I agree with almost everything that he does say. And I do appreciate that his new channel is not just packed with ads from start to finish like he used to do. And it might be because he lost his sponsorship with the deletion of his channel. And now that he can't grow his channel, again, it does show that we are in a new YouTube era where if you speak any form of truth, you are destroyed. This is one of Brian's better performing videos on his latest channel. And obviously that's not good. 3.5K views 3 days ago. Pretty good like ratio though. But yeah, I do want to watch this video, the way Brian covers Dan Bongino going against his word on what he said for years about Jeffrey Epstein. And then I also want to cover the knowledge that Brian has told his audience he thinks is all just nonsensical. And again, I want to get to why Brian won't discuss this. And I really would like Brian to open up a conversation between he and I want to hear him say, when we're both on the same place talking at the same time, why he thinks mocking the occult knowledge and downplaying it is an important thing to do to his audience when he's constantly also saying out of the other side of his mouth that we need to pursue all truth. Truth is so important. If we don't have the truth, we're... again, I don't know how you can say that and then downplay what we're putting out, which is as consistent as anything in the world. It's pretty much a scientific formula, the way these occult practitioners operate every day with their news propaganda and their rig selections, which is why we're way ahead of the curve. I still remember in 2020, Brian was going like, man, it does look like Biden stole this. I mean, I went to bed last night and Trump was way up, and I don't know how that happened overnight. It's like, we should have been on what we were talking about, why it was going to be Biden, and how they simulated this on June 12, 2020 at Georgetown with the Transition Integrity Project. Trump would refuse to step down and say he was cheated, leading to a deadly altercation between Americans. I mean, the whole thing was simulated from the selection to J6th. But anyway, we're going to watch Brian's video because I like it. It's just, look, I mean, this is good. But there's also a book out there called From Good to Great. What Brian reminds me of is who I was when I was about 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 years old looking into things. Brian reminds me of where I was because it's about the same level I was on with Brian, where Brian is today. It's like Brian doesn't want to evolve and learn more information that really takes this to the next level. And I find that disappointing. And Brian, if you do end up watching this, why do you keep... I know what you're trying to do by using these big content creators' names to kind of piggyback on what they're doing, but these people don't need more attention, do they? The people who need more attention are the people who are shadow banned and buried in the algorithm, the information they don't want to get out. That's the stuff that's going to change the world when enough people get their hands on it, and you and I clearly aren't going to do it alone because we're both at the bottom of the algorithm. But people like you and I should be working together rather than you piggybacking on the names of people who have millions of subs. And look, his strategy's not working for you either. The algorithm just keeps you down. So yeah, anyway, I do want to watch Brian's clip of how he breaks this down. And again, I just want to show what the Gematria piece brings to the table. So let's watch Brian's work on Brian Tyler Cohen. We all know where that last name comes from. And the Dan Bongino video. Here we go.
He's gonna know. My buddy was on the plane.
Nobody's gonna know.
This is a wild quadruple decker psychological operation. You got to share it with everybody. Everyone should know by now that Dan Bongino is a sellout Republican propagandist.
I've seen the whole file.
And now he's a sellout government insider. Remember, it's a big club. Dan and Cash Patel are now in it, and you're not.
You and I are not in the big club.
I also need to mention that Brian Tyler Cohen is a Democrat propagandist. They both want you licking the government boot. Google-eyed propaganda Dan wants you licking the right boot, while Tempur-Pedic teleprompter reading propagandist Brian Tyler Cohen wants you licking the left boot.
By the way, thank you, Leper Messiah, for the super chat I already saw early in the stream. That's better than we often do in 2 hours. I appreciate it.
But both boots are connected to the same scummy central banking owners. With that in mind, check out this quadruple-decker psychological operation where Brian Tyler Cohen and Dan Bongino work separately but in concert to get you to let go of the truth. How do they do this? Well, Dan Bongino always told his audience not to believe the government and that they're lying to you about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, all of a sudden, because he and Kash Patel are in the big club, you can trust the government. And Brian Tyler Cohen always wanted you to believe in the government. It just has to be leftist government. He's always called Dan Bongino a conspiracy theorist. But now that Dan's in the government, Brian Tyler Cohen thinks Dan's telling the truth. Because Dan's on the inside now and he just has to face the facts. For Brian, it couldn't possibly be that Dan is still lying to cover up government evils. So let's take a look at this insane psychological operations commentary breakdown from Brian Tyler Cohen.
I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., you know, by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, you know, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You're straightening out the FBI. You're moving buildings. There's a lot of change. Before we get into specifics, what did you think the job was going to be like? What is it like?
You know, the biggest lifestyle change for me has been family-wise. I mean, we already went through this with my time in the Secret Service. But, you know, when the president called and asked if I would take the job, you know, you can't tell your audience for years, go out and do stuff, talk is cheap. And then when the opportunity comes to do stuff, I didn't mean me, you know, I meant you. It's kind of you're a fraud. I mean, you don't sound like a fraud, you are one. So it was a lot.
He is a fraud.
It's been tough on the family. People ask me all the time, you know, do you like it? I say, no, I don't. But the president asked me to do this to like it. You know, nobody likes going into an organization like that and having to change things and make big, bold changes. But, you know, I was at one of our facilities yesterday down in Winchester, and a woman who worked there, very nice, said, you know, I used to watch your show. I miss you. I said, you know, I miss me too. You know, part of you, part of you dies a little bit when you see all this stuff from behind the scenes.
That was the deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, lamenting the fact that he's stuck working in the same government that he has made a career out of criticizing. And that
We are going to skip some ads there.
That's a good criticism. He spent an entire career criticizing the government that he became a part of.
It's tough for him because now instead of raking in cash by opining on baseless conspiracy theories and trafficking in outright fiction, he's at least somewhat bound by facts and reality.
He's bound by facts and reality by being in the government that he once criticized, according to Brian Tyler Cohen. So basically, Brian Tyler Cohen is a statist. Dan Bongino is a statist. Dan Bongino is a red, conservative, rightist statist. And Brian Tyler Cohen is a blue Democrat propagandist statist. They're both statists in a ditch on the same road, heading in the same directions, speaking the exact same message. But here's Brian Tyler Cohen saying, hey, now that Dan Bongino is in the government, he's telling the truth because he's bound to tell the truth, which exposes his years of lies as he lied about the government. This is crazy.
And frankly, nothing better crystallizes this phenomenon more than the hours that Dan Bongino spent stoking mistrust and conspiracy theories about, for example, Jeffrey Epstein.
I'm telling you, there could be some national security problems here.
This guy's got some mental problems here.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, nobody knows how much material people have on Jeffrey Epstein. Who was videoed where those videos are. I was told by someone a long time ago, a very knowledgeable reporter, and it's not my information. I'm not hiding. I mean, oh, you're hiding up for some foreign government. You're protecting. I'm not protecting anyone. I'm only telling you what I was told. that some governments around the world may have some material that's related to the Epstein thing. Bill Clinton was knee deep in this, man. I have a very, very good source. I've told you this story. Forgive me for repeating it if you're a P1, but some people are new here and never heard this. He was on the plane with Bill Clinton and Epstein on one of Epstein's planes when Bill Clinton was on the plane with some women who, according to my source, looked underage. Why was my source on the plane? Dan, you know people who hung out with Jeffrey Epstein? No, I don't. He was working.
Look at this guy.
Right? It's unbelievable. The guy killed himself, and now nobody's going to know. My buddy was on the plane.
Isn't it crazy how the average American would rather listen to bullshit like this every day, the Dan Bonginos of the world, than what I put down, which is verifiable evidence? People just like bullshit. It's really annoying. I mean, you can you should be, if you have any, brain cells still left, you should instantly be able to look at these characters and be like, this guy's just so full of shit. And don't you get tired of all the Republicans just bringing up the Clinton name? It's just a buzzword for them. Oh, yeah, the Clintons. Like the Clintons run the world. Again, never forget that Bill Clinton wasn't even born with that last name. He would have been born, well, his father, if you don't know the story of Bill Clinton, his biological father was found dead in a ditch May 17th, 1946, coming back on a business trip from Chicago, Hillary's town. And then his mom got remarried into the Clinton political dynasty out of New York. The first governor of New York was a Clinton. And think about how right when Bill Clinton became president in 93, you had the World Trade Center bombing right after he stopped the nearly 50-year program of blowing up bombs underground and up in the atmosphere that came out of the Manhattan Project. Of course, the terminology of ground zero came out of that. But anyway, back to this.
With all the strange coincidental circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein, like the CCTV camera footage all of a sudden not working, the security guards not checking on him, the security guards falling asleep, removing Jeffrey Epstein's cellmate from him right before all this stuff happened, all the questionable things that surround it, it is proper and appropriate to criticize the government for their official story, which historically speaking is a lie. It's propaganda. They're ministers of propaganda or public relations, or in other words, lies. Dan Bongino was on the right track on this. And now all of a sudden, Dan and Cash get a talking to, and now they're singing a different tune with zero evidence.
And was very uncomfortable. He didn't see anything directly, but there was like apparently some area in the back of the plane where everybody went to go, whatever, do their thing. My friend's not comfortable with it. They land and he's like to the guy who's running the show, if you know what I mean, I ain't going to be part of whatever's going on this plane. And the guy who's running the whole thing says, well, you need to go home.
Get off my plane.
That's the Air Force One thing, too. It's kind of like a similar story. And he says, you need to go home. So they send him home. But he saw Clinton on the plane with Epstein in the little area with people he thought didn't look of age. I've told this story 1,000 times, and it's amazing how, because it's the Dan Bongino show where we...
You're going to tell me that all the evidence of the perversion of all these political parasites can't come out? I bet there's so much footage, so much blackmail footage out there. The fact that it hasn't come out shows you how powerful the powers that shouldn't be really are. Right. And how much power they have over the political parasites who are doing the bidding of the Central International Banking Cartel.
About just about everything. Everyone in the media ignores it, even though this source is still out there. Anyone can talk to him.
Says, you know, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? I'm absolutely sure of that. That he's either a witting or unwitting asset, intelligence asset. There's a big assumption out.
Intelligence asset for a place in the Middle East. Gosh, I wonder where that is. What place in the Middle East would have an intelligence asset here in the United States? I have no idea.
There that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. Which Middle Eastern countries they are, I don't know. Epstein was either a witting or unwitting intelligence asset.
Which Middle Eastern countries, I don't know. This guy is such a Zionist.
And they may have had his plane wired up.
And now, here's Dan Bongino trying to placate the very...
He's such a Zionist. Possibly. Where did he go to high school? Did he go to a small hat school, or did he go to a Catholic school? You know what I mean? Dan Bongino, you can look it up. He definitely went to a Catholic school.
Very audience that he radicalized.
Radicalized, in Brian Tyler Cohen's opinion, and by his definitions and through his narrative, radicalize means to question the government, to not believe the official story. That's radicalization. And now Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have turned on a dime because they got it talking to. They've peered behind the curtain. They know what's going on, and they've chosen to become a part of the lie for one reason or another.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
And just take my word for it. Hey, Kash, how about the proof? How about the video footage? Give us absolute evidence that what you're saying is true. Because you're actually doing what the government's doing. No, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Just believe us. Well, we don't, because you kind of have a history of lying to us. So why would we ever believe you? Now they've become a part of the lie. They've become a part.
And with regards to the word proof, again, that's what we offer every day. And Brian has gone out of his way to try and shout it down. And again, I'm going to bring the proof of the ritual of the latest government lie by the numbers, which is truly undeniable if you can put the pieces of the puzzle together, which yours truly is probably a lot better at than almost anyone else out there, as I've been demonstrating for 12 years. And Brian knows how good it is, because Brian once said in his own words that he thought he was presenting one of the most important things he'd ever presented. He called it the mother of all coincidences. And of course, he ripped off my video word for word, including the one mistake I made in it, which I had to correct later. And Brian did get called out by his community at the time. They said, why didn't you give any credit to Zach since you copied his video from the day before? And Brian was like down in the comments defending. He's like, why would you accuse me of copying? All of this information's public. You're not giving me credit for that. I was just like, that's the thing about you, Brian. If you do watch, I still enjoy overall your message because it's mostly correct. I'd say 90% of what you're doing is right. It's just blaming it all on the small hats is, again, you're coming to the wrong conclusion. Just like, why not? Is it because you're a Catholic too? He's not anymore, but he was raised Catholic, Brian. But Dan Bongino's Catholic. You know what I mean? Just like most of the people in the very Catholic Roman city, D.C. Anyway, let's continue.
Part of the cover-up.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Now, you'll be shocked to learn that Dan Bongino's audience doesn't believe him. Why? Because they listened to Dan Bongino. One blogger for the right-wing site Red State wrote, Bongino makes a huge confession today that cuts against his years of conspiratorial bomb-throwing on his podcast and TV show. He concedes that in the investigation of the 2 assassination attempts, there is not a there in terms of some truths being hidden. He says, if there was a there, then we would have told you. Social media influencer Bongino always claimed there was a there, and there were conspiracies in the government, the deep state, to keep them covered up. But in the interview today, he says in the discussion of the 2 assassination attempts that there simply isn't much more to know than that which has already been made public. That should be a cautionary signal to many on this site. And frankly, that is tame compared to what his other fans wrote. This statement by itself is enough reason for me never to believe another word that Dan Bongino says. Deep state traitor. Epstein's case closed with a wink. Accountability, the same bureau that spied on Trump now wants to trust after years of targeting conservatives. Please. Real transparency starts with dismantling the 2-tiered system protecting DC elites. Clean up your own house before lecturing us on priorities. That's extremely insulting to the intelligence of the people who pay your salary. And the responses go on and on. Bongino spent years whipping his audience into a frenzy with right-wing conspiracy theories. Now that he...
whipping his audience into a frenzy about right-wing conspiracy theories. Anytime you have a government bootlicker who is 100% bought and paid for in the cult of personality, and then they look at somebody who's questioning what the government's official story is, that person who loves the government is devoted to the government and wants you to follow the government, like Brian Tyler Cohen. Anybody who criticizes the government are automatically dismissed as conspiratorial. That's this guy.
He's in a position where he could finally substantiate his own lies and can't. His audience is turning against him.
Skip this ad here.
Janet!
So it's got to be that. It's got to be, okay, Dan Bongino was a conspiracy theorist before he got into the government. He told you not to trust the government. Now he's in the government and Brian Tyler Cohen's going, oh, he got a dose of truth. He realized that, hey, questioning the government and having all these conspiracy theories, that's not the way to go. The government was actually telling the truth the whole time. So now Dan Bongino is in the government and he wants you to believe that the government's telling you the truth. And at the same time, on the same side of the road, Brian Tyler Cohen is telling you, hey, remember how you couldn't trust Dan Bongino before? Well, you can trust him now with regard to the Jeffrey Epstein file. Just like I've been telling you all along, the government's telling the truth, and anybody who questions it or dares to mention that Jeffrey Epstein or suggests that he might not have killed himself is a conspiracy theorist. I want you to listen again very closely to what Brian Tyler Cohen says here.
Bongino spent years whipping his audience into a frenzy with right-wing conspiracy theories. Now that he's in a position where he could finally substantiate his own lies and can't, his audience is turning against him. But this is part and parcel of the right-wing media ecosystem.
Wow. Brian Tyler Cohen is telling you, see, Dan Bongino, who criticized the government, is now a part of that same government. And you got to believe him now because he's in the government and he got a dose of the truth. This is a crazy triple-decker psychological operation where Dan Bongino and Brian Tyler Cohen want you to believe the government. Share this video, like this video, subscribe to this channel.
Okay, and if you are interested in Brian's channel, it is The Disturbing Illusion. And I think it's worthy of subscribing. He does good work. He just will lead you to the wrong conclusion about who's behind all of it, and he'll also occasionally downplay things like numbers will kind of be like, some people like the numbers thing, but I just think that's too subjective. It's really maddening. It's like, okay, is he a gatekeeper or is he just dense like the rest of America? And I've come to the conclusion that he's just dense, but it is also disappointing that he won't have a conversation about it to date. That said, I did see that he covered my debates with Jim Bob and Andrew Wilson, and he said that those people were disappointing clowns. So that's about as much as he said, but he was tuned in to listen, which I found interesting. Anyhow, Brian, pay attention to dates. It's all about the dates. Dan Bongino came out last Thursday, a week ago, May 29th, on JFK's birthday anniversary, okay? This is just one component of the ritual. Last Thursday on JFK's birthday anniversary. Last night, on the 4th day of the 6th month, Bongino went on Hannity and he said the proof that Epstein offed himself was a very grainy video. And he said it's hard to really make out anything, but you can tell, and you can tell that nobody else went in that room. Now, 4th day of 6th month. And keep in mind, also in the news yesterday was the supposed bombers of the fertility clinic. They were arrested at JFK, and JFK was killed at age 46. Same reason Joe Biden became number 46, elected exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. You learn Gematria, Catholic equals 46, like there's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. Of course, yesterday also in the headlines, you had Trump wasting taxpayer dollars, ordering an investigation of Biden's cognitive decline, as well as Biden's press secretary coming out and saying she's no longer a Democrat. Again, all news by the numbers on the 4th day of the 6th month. And if you want to say, well, what about 6-4? Yeah, in the U.S. we do write it 6-4, but the rest of the world writes it 4-6. Just for the record, in Gematria, Joe Biden equals 64. Anyhow, that detail about the grainy footage that's hard to make out, that's the Zapruder film for the decades it was in existence until the 90s when the updated Zapruder film came out that was a lot clearer. For decades, the Zapruder film existed. And by the way, the Zapruder film was recorded by a Freemason, and just like JFK was killed in Dealey Plaza, named after a Freemason, like a lot of the founders were Masons. But again, the Zapruder film was a grainy film with hardly anything that could be made out. And then Bongino had to put in those details after coming out last week on JFK's birthday anniversary, when we all know that one of the greatest conspiracies, and really the term that brought, also with regards to JFK, the term conspiracy theory, which is also associated with Dan Bongino, where he's now having to reverse his conspiracy theory, that term was put out into the public discourse after the JFK assassination. But then it's the Gematria thing, right? Bongino took his spot as deputy director on March 17th, and we'll get to why he came in on the 76th day of the year. But from that day to him coming out and reversing his position on Epstein is exactly 73 days later. And if you've been here since the beginning of my work, which started in 2013, 90% of my research in the beginning was in this cipher, the alphabetic order with numerology, the same cipher that Manly P. Hall puts into the Secret Teachings of All Ages. By the way, the clip I played in the beginning of Keith talking to Archaics, Keith, one thing you confused is Manly P. Hall doesn't say in his book that over 100 different secret societies are using this knowledge. That quote comes from the Divine Triangle book by Faith Giovanni. She only uses this cipher in her book, and she says there's over 100 different ciphers of the English language used by an untold number of secret societies in the English-speaking world. But again, this is what goes on every single day with our puppets in government. They get out, and on the date that's specific to the ritual, they do what they do. In this case, it's Bongino 73 days after taking office, coming out and saying Epstein offed himself and there's no conspiracy. And again, I mean, the day that Epstein died, let me pull up my post. Where's it at? The day that Epstein died, supposedly in the news during Tisha B'Av, the day, again, and I'll connect this too. The day that Epstein died, I was making this same point about 73's significance, just how this is a big sacrifice number. But yeah, just to remind you about the whole Epstein thing. Epstein has the same gematria as SUICIDE, and we live in such a dumb age where you can't even say the word. Like, supposedly saying the word's going to instigate more people to do it. Or is actually YouTube trying to confirm something about the power of words and spells and spelling? Just throwing it out there might make it more likely to happen. Maybe YouTube's actually revealing something to us. They don't want you to say that word. Anyway, from him being charged with the crimes to the deletion was 34 days later, July 8th, 2019 to August 10th, things we covered at the time. Epstein does have the double overlap with murder. Again, if you're new here, the 4 base ciphers of the language. Here, I'll just put it up on the screen, and we'll just do the Catholic example again. I mean, Brian should get it as a once former Catholic. Catholic, you know, you run it forwards with numerology, 35. You run it in reverse with numerology, 46. Again, the first Catholic president, JFK, number 35. Dead at age 46 on I-35. The second Catholic president elected exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, inaugurated on the 35th day of the Pope's age. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, 145 more chapters. 71 goes with Zeus. Again, the Romans took on what the Greeks were doing, thus Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus. And Jupiter Day is Thursday, which is also the 35-46 day of the week. And, you know, this year we got the new Catholic Pope who was born in Chicago on a Thursday. And I did tell you in advance it was going to have something to do with Philadelphia because he was the 267th Pope to be. Philly's the 267 area code. And sure enough, he went to school in Villanova, the Philadelphia Associated College. A whole lot more. Remember, the whole thing was area codes. The Pope dies on Rome's birthday, 21/4. The acting head of the Vatican becomes the Cardinal from Dallas, the 214. The Pope dies on the 312th day of Trump's age. You got 312 electoral college votes, supposedly. Then you get a new Pope from the 312 area of Chicago, the 312 area code Chicago. Born in 55 as the new Pope after Trump put out on the social media post on 5/5 about him as the Pope. But anyway, these are the 4 base ciphers. Alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with numerology. Again, this is why you get the Jewish nation created on the 14th day of the 5th month, because it's the church and the Jesuits who run the show, just like the founders warned you about, just like Lincoln told you. That's who was responsible for the Civil War. That's why all these supposed truthers who blame everything on small hats, they don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, in a sense where you can actually know what came first. Jesuits were here way before Zionism. They served the church that's largely responsible for the existence of this nation. But again, just going back to the whole Epstein thing. But by the way, Brian, if you're out there, you always shout out Derek Bros. I don't know if you know, but Derek Bros actually publicly made fun of this work that I'm showing right now on Epstein. When Epstein died, he went out and said how dumb and conspiratorial and Looney Tunes this is. And the reason he was so butthurt about it is because I was making the point that Epstein's just another character on the world stage, where Derek Bros was acting like Epstein was the mob boss of the world, and if he was taken down, all matters would be solved. That was Derek Bros' whole thing, how important Epstein is. And I'm saying, no, Epstein's really just another nobody plan on the world stage, another actor removed from the stage by the numbers, same kind of stuff you see every day. Derek Bros had to go way out of his way to say this work's dumb. And maybe I am wrong. Maybe you actually are a shill. I don't know. I want to assume you're not based on how bad your views are now, and Derek Bros' views aren't too good either, but I think actually the real problem is you guys are both dense and hard-headed, and you don't learn. Again, to say this work is dumb, you got to be a special kind of stupid. Jeffrey Epstein, most simple cipher, 163, 38th prime. Go figure he died 163 days before his birthday. If he did die, more like removed from the world stage, he's probably over in Israel. That would be my top guess. Again, his name equals 73, like ritual, sacrifice, like sacrifice, in case they really did get rid of him, because he did have things to share. But notice, now it's Bongino, 73 days after taking office. And I made the point about how he died during Tisha B'Av, which is a day to remember Jewish tragedy in history. Of course, Epstein's Jewish. It's kind of like how Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the last Jewish people on the Supreme Court, died on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and got replaced by the numbers by the Catholic Amy Coney Barrett. Another sign of who's really running things. Sacrifice a Jew by the numbers. Put in the Catholic. Again, the Supreme Court's nearly all Catholic and Jesuit educated. That should tell you everything. That's one of them. Probably is the most important branch of government, lifetime appointments. Anyway, Jeffrey Epstein, run it the other way, 71. By the way, like Catholic, like the Society of Jesus, but also like sex trafficking, like temple. Again, Tisha B'Av to remember the destruction of the temples. At the same time, they're selling the temple coin in Israel to raise money to eventually build the third temple with Trump's face on it and King Cyrus and the third temple on the other side of the coin. By the way, just look at the way Epstein and Trump and Uish all overlap. I mentioned you might very well see the Pope die at 88 synced with Trump. It ended up happening, again, on the 312th day of Trump's age after he got 312 electoral college votes. But yeah, when Epstein died, it was also 58 days after Trump's birthday. Remember, Trump announced from the 58-story Trump Tower that he was running for the 58th election. And again, the first degree of Freemasonry is the honored apprentice. Trump's the apprentice. Freemasonry, Rosicrucian, Secret Society, all 58. Hillary's book on why she lost, what happened, 58. In this most recent election, Trump supposedly got 58% of the electoral college vote, meaning Kamala got 42%, like she allowed people to question her blackness on the 42nd day of the year back in 2019 on February 11th, the Vatican's birthday, which is also the anniversary of her mother's death, not to mention her name Kamala equals 42, the number stamped all over black history. People saying she's not really black because she's half Indian, but whatever. The point is, it's all by the numbers. And just for the record, Solomon's temple, the first temple, Herod's temple, the second temple, third temple, they're all 58, like Jerusalem, and Trump had moved the capital to Jerusalem. So just think about this. Just think about how perfect this ritual is. Some people saying, oh man, he might have been taken out because he could have made the sitting president look bad. Is that what happened here? Trump's back in office. Now Bongino from Fox News, like Hegseth. And again, Brian, if you're out there, how can you ignore something like Hegseth being picked on the Superior General's birthday, November 12th, to lead the U.S. military when the Superior General's the military leader of the Catholic Church, when D.C.'s a land full of Roman symbolism? How can you overlook facts like this and continue to Well, I haven't heard you do it for a while, but I only tune into your show so often. But I have seen you scoff at the idea of Jesuits. Some people think the Jesuits. Yeah, because there's an actual historical record there. There's actually a reason this nation was created there. The same ones who are behind Israel there, the same ones who are behind really the Balfour Declaration and the ritual. What happened to that Rothschild whose name on there? Brian, don't you think it's a little bit too convenient that every half-truther blames everything on small hats and nails the name Rothschild and knows almost nothing else? It's like that's where the end of their knowledge ends for blaming. Oh yeah, Rothschild, small hats, Israel. Like, oh good, you guys are all like a bunch of parrots. Well, what else do you know besides that? Oh, nothing. Rothschild, Israel, Zionists, small hats. That's what I know. Weird how you all know the same little tiny set of knowledge, which doesn't give you hardly anything. But yeah, again, Brian, how can you look at this and think it's some kind of coincidence? How can Derek Bros, how can you promote a guy like Derek Bros? Do you just want us to stay stuck in the Stone Ages? What's wrong with you guys? Again, part of the problem is we're just so many light years ahead of everybody. When Derek Bros ran for office in Houston, I said, dude, that's a stupid thing to do. You have no chance of beating Sylvester Turner. And by the way, do you see what happened to poor Sylvester Turner? What was it? The day after Trump threw out the rep from Houston, Sylvester Turner, the former mayor of Houston's dead at 70 when his name equals 70 in that one cipher that's more important than the rest. And literally when Hurricane Katrina flooded Houston, and again, I still have the hit piece up from Vice News on me about that. I not only did we predict what day Houston was going to flood in advance, why it was going to be August 27th, 17, the anniversary of Stevie Ray Vaughan's album Texas Flood, and what it had to do with the upcoming World Series. Again, this hit piece written by Vice News still exists, still up here making fun of me and, what I said about weather warfare and rig sports, something that's played out many more times since. But even back then, I was showing how the whole thing was synced with Sylvester Turner. And again, for some people, it's just too much to grasp and it's too conspiratorial. But you know what else? It's the truth and it's verifiable. And that's why the same patterns keep persisting. But Derek Bros made fun of all this. Oh my, weather warfare, Gematria. It's like, yeah, moron. Maybe shut up and get out of the way and stop being static in the machine because your information is irrelevant. You have zero chance against Sylvester Turner, who's part of the chessboard of the cabal, not you. Not you with your little baby stash and your pubic hair on your face. Anyway, and for anyone who doesn't know who Derek Bros is, you'd understand why I said that if you looked at him. But I do get annoyed of watching all these people circle jerk each other. Yet another person that Brian likes to circle jerk, that little bald guy, what's his name? The Last American Vagabond. He's also talked shit about my work numerous times. All these people you see a lot of people will circulate the names of they're not real big channels, but they have decent followings and they all kind of promote each other. They all have in common talking shit about my work. And is it that they are a network of shills? Or is it that they're all just a network of hard-headed morons who can't see through the obvious truth? I'm leaning towards it's the latter, actually. By the way, just coming back to this whole thing with Bongino, from his birthday to him coming out on JFK's birthday saying nothing happened to Epstein. Do you know that JFK was killed 177 days after his birthday and the number's not arbitrary? Again, the Jesuit order equals 177 like New World Order. These numbers get used a lot. Not to mention, who's Mr. New World Order? Wasn't he there the day that JFK got smoked? Papa Bush gave a speech 11 years to the day of the towers coming down that looked like an 11 in the 11th state on the 11th of the month while his son's president, and all kicked off of flight AA11 while his son's reading I Pet Goat or My Pet Goat, and they're chanting in the... By the way, watch, you guys, if you have not seen the new thing that Netflix put out on Israel's birthday this year, their 77th birthday, reminding you of Flight 77. If you haven't seen the new Bin Laden documentary, just watch the opening minutes. Look at the Masonic hand pose that the woman teacher's doing in that classroom. I've never seen that shot that they use in there. She's just sitting there right front and center, just doing the straight hand pose while Bush is in the classroom with the children. And remember, just remember, in 68, back when Papa Bush was CIA, former bonesman, just like his son, who graduated from Skull and Bones in 68, 33 years before 2001. Bonesman 33, like masonry, like secrecy, like order, like federal, like FF. Whoops, I'm getting dyslexic here. FF. New York's one of the 4 states with a 33 connection, for the record, too. But yeah, get a good look at what she's doing with her hands while he's there in the classroom with the teacher. And don't forget, numerology 33 is the master teacher number. They taught us all a lesson: submit to the government, or you all get blown up by terrorists. Remember, overnight, for all you right-wingers who think the right wing is the truth and the liberals are the problem, remember, it was all right-wing legislation that hadn't passed for about 3 decades that they rammed through right after September 11th. For all you guys, oh yeah, the right wing is what we need. Yeah, okay, the right wing that built the police surveillance state while right wing was in office. I mean, again, the Republicans always run on, oh man, you got Democrats in there, we're not safe. It's like, well, 9/11 happened while Republicans were in office. Cootie's 19 years after the 19 hijackers happened while Republicans are in office. Yeah, your rhetoric's not adding up. But again, I'm not playing into either side of the political aisle either, because I know it's all a steaming load of shit. Anyway, coming back to this, this perfect ritual on Tisha B'Av. Let me see if it's at the... Hold on. Did I put it in this post? Oh, yeah, right here. This is one of my favorite ones. Just the car that they had. Again, you guys, Epstein died during Tisha B'Av, and if you can see, it's car 134 is the forensic operations person. You pay attention, you guys, these mass shootings, the stories in the news, when they got the police cars out there, the paramedics out there, you can see how Kabbalistic the ritual is, because way more often than not, they got the car with the number on it that's perfect for the ritual. Like this. This is something they showed you in the news. Car 134 out there to examine the body for the weekend of Tisha B'Av, which is also known as the 9th of Av. And don't forget that it's also a big number with the chump. Make America Great Again is 134. If you saw Elon Musk's press conference with Trump, it was 130 days after they took office that he was there with the black eye. But Musk said it's been 134 days. And of course, in my first book, I mentioned all the 134s around Trump. Melania's 134. Jared Kushner's 134. For the record, the Jesuits is 134. You can put an asterisk next to that. That could be arbitrary, but what's it called right now? One Big Beautiful Bill? Is that what it's called? One Big Beautiful Bill. No. One big, what is the thing called? Hold on. What is the thing called? The actual wording for it is 134. I missed the word act. That's what it is. One Big Beautiful Bill Act, 134. This stuff's not an accident. This is what they've been doing over and over and over again. And I forgot 100 other 134s we've covered over the last decade. But even just Musk, he just had to throw 134 in there in his press conference, even though that wasn't the right number of days. It was 130. Again, it's 130 days that you can be a special employee of the government in Washington, which does equal 130. And for everyone who remembers, one of our favorite rituals of all time on Monday Night Football, just for the record, it was November 11th, Washington State's birthday. And Pete Carroll was a major underdog that night, representing the Seattle Seahawks out of Washington. Seahawks paid 3.5 to 1. And we said, come on, man. Pete Carroll's going to get his 130th regular season win tonight and 140th all-time win, including the postseason. And sure enough, is the major underdog, the major payout. What kind of things we've been doing for years. And then you got people like Brian who just will not acknowledge the work. And they'll shout out all these mediocre content creators that lead you back to small hats. Do you guys like being an echo chamber of just saying small hat, small hat, small hat? Why can't you broaden your horizons? How can you talk about how we must uncover all truth and then tell your audience that looking into the occult is bullshit? You know what I mean? So yeah. Is that the problem? Is Brian just afraid of the occult? Is Brian just another one of these people who was raised religious and is supposedly left it, but he still has that just like this tingling religious teaching inside of his body where he's like, I'm not supposed to look into that stuff. It's sorcery. It's witchcraft. And again, I always find it weird how many Christians do not like Jews when it's like, you worship a Jewish person. Jesus is Jewish. He's from Judea. And by the way, for all the Christians, you guys should look into the list of why Jews don't think he's the Messiah. It's because he didn't fulfill any of the Jewish prophecy that person was supposed to do. So that's why they say he's a false Messiah. All sides should look into all things, because then they might come to more proper conclusions, like why all your religions are bullshit, your government's bullshit, they are using this knowledge. Why will people not do that? Is it cowardice? Is it fear? Is it programming? Brian really wants people to see through the illusion of government. Why not look into how the government actually operates and the history of why they do, as we cover every day? This nation was founded by people in secret societies that are invested in Kabbalah. Point blank, period. All right, I'm going to open up the phone line. You guys, help me figure this out. Help me figure this out. What's wrong with people like Brian? Why do they shout out mediocre half-truthers who don't have a clue, who openly mock the truth? You know, what can we do to, I mean, you know, calling all these sports futures, the day hurricanes are going to land over and over, what's going to happen in the news, what's going to happen in the election? Somehow, some way, all of this miraculous level of work does not seem to persuade these people. What do we do? What do we do? The number is that 509 number on the screen. And everything is set up here if you want to call in. Yeah, it's just like yesterday. It's you know, I mean, all this Joe Biden stuff on the 4-6-6-4 state, the JFK stuff that goes right over people's head. How don't they see it? I suppose the average person doesn't know that JFK was killed at age 46. But that's why we need more people talking about these things, because they do it every year. Once you know it, then you see it for the rest of your life. What's up, 605? Thanks for calling in.
This is Eloy, Zach. What's up? How you been?
Eloy G, what's up, man?
What's up, bro? So I know it's off topic. I wasn't trying to be off topic at all, but I just noticed something super funny / weird that happened today. I know you don't have your Twitter account anymore because obviously Elon Musk banned you on Twitter. But Elon Musk just made a post on Twitter right now. Well, it was at 1:10 p.m. June 5th, 2025, which is about obviously earlier. And the Twitter post says, "Time to drop the really big bomb." And then he tags real Donald Trump. And then he's like, "Donald Trump is on the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. Donald John Trump," with the initials DJT. So, and then he puts underneath that, he posts, "Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out." So obviously he's trying to play the good guy right now. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, we all know the ties with Trump and Epstein and how all of them were all, obviously in the big club that we're not in. But I think it's so weird how he's obviously starting to go against Trump right now and everything that he stands for. So I wonder, obviously they're really trying to divide the country through that method, But I thought it was super weird, and it's from his actual Twitter account, so it's not a parody account or anything. It's from his actual account.
Okay, yeah, unfortunately, let me see. I did create a backup Twitter account, but I can't verify it because when I got deleted, they said if I create another account, it will be deleted. But as long as I don't verify, then I don't think they know that.
And it's only been, technically, it's only been 27 minutes since that post has been uploaded, so it's about a little over 26 minutes, but it's got 11 million views. And yeah, it's just, he's basically going against Trump right now, and I mean, obviously.
Well, he's a puppet. I mean, again, he's just doing what he's told on his puppet strings. But
no, that's what I'm saying. It's to cause a division in the country. You know what I'm saying? I feel like everyone who's like, "Oh, we should believe in Elon," and what he says, not knowing, he's obviously leading them astray as well. I just find it crazy / funny.
Okay.
But I thought I'd tell you about that. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but yeah, he literally just tweeted that today, saying, yeah, Donald Trump's on the files. That's why they haven't released it yet. So That's crazy. All right. Just keep your head up, bro. I did bet on tonight's game. I bet on OCC and pretty much. Hopefully we get that money tonight. But other than that, obviously I've been trying to support you as much as I can. Stuff's been pretty crazy, especially now that obviously you can relate having a son. Well, you have a daughter, but a kid in general gets pretty stressful sometimes. But we still making it happen. And I'm glad that I'll always be a truth seeker. Other than that, have a good day, and I'm glad that I was able to share that before it becomes old news. So,
all right, man, appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yeah, take care. And again, just the power of the knowledge. Preseason we had Thunder in the championship because they're the Sonics team that won it in '79, and now this is the 79th NBA season. And again, that's why they had the father-son ritual at the start of the year with LeBron. With the Griffies in attendance who played in Seattle. And don't forget how LeBron got, or the Lakers got Bronny with the 55th pick of the draft when King James equals 55. It's just nothing but ritualism. I don't have a whole lot to say about this. It's just, more crap to keep people divided with their little puppet actors. And Elon Musk saying it's time to create a new political party. What it's time to do is get rid of the federal government. That's what time it is. We don't need another political party. We need to get rid of this tyrannical government. Government needs to be a lot smaller. Break it down to the states, and the states can agree to one piece of paper, which can be the new constitution. And yeah, there does need to be a new constitution because Bush told you 20 years ago that it's nothing but a piece of paper, and there's not one thing on that constitution that's still in play today. We need just one simple piece of paper. First Amendment. Second Amendment, those things should definitely stay. I think the third thing on there should be that you should never be taxed on your income. I think that's something we could all agree to. No tax on income. Point blank, period, never to be broken. I really do think that the only kind of tax that there should be is on the things you consume. I can understand that. I can understand taxes on consumerism, but not your income. Not your income.
Quack, quack, no one wants to watch my show no more. Quack, quack, quack.
So to sit around and troll and make duck. Oh, they hung up. Yeah, again, just people like this. I mean, pathetic. Yeah, if you want to call back 304, tell me who's actually put out a more potent and pertinent message in the 12 years that I've been here, and who's really done more. I don't know anyone in the truth community that was out in front of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in the opening days of the scamdemic, laying it down for what's to come. I don't know anybody who got out a 400-page book in ASAP time telling people why not to get those pokey-dokes when they come out and why the whole scam was going to wind down as soon as the year of the tiger came around. And again, in our lifetime, that is a really important thing that was done and neglected by most. And the people like Brian, they never picked up on everything we were putting down with all the Tiger stuff and the 56s. They just shrugged their shoulders at it, and it made it easier for YouTube to bury this kind of information because there really wasn't anyone else out there willing to lift a finger. So, yeah. But again, these are the kind of people in this nation, and it's like, I don't know why you would ever be cheering against me if you're an American citizen. But again, come back to this Constitution idea. First Amendment and Second Amendment are self-explanatory. You need the right to express yourself, and you need the right to defend yourself. And it needs to be in the form that it was when it was created. The idea when the Second Amendment was created was that you have the right to have the same stuff the military has. Everyone's like, well, that's crazy because the military has crazy stuff. You know what? What's crazy is the stuff the military has, and that we paid so much money to develop all these destructive weapons that just shouldn't be. One of the least trustworthy things in the whole world is the U.S. government. So if they can have it, why shouldn't anybody else? That's the way I see it. But yeah, I do think the third thing on there should be that no income tax. You cannot get taxed on your labor. You deserve to keep what you work for. There shouldn't be some ruling class that just takes right from your labor and your sweat and your blood and tears. No way, no how. And again, consumerism, I mean, you can throw a consumption tax on things. I do understand that, like, look at the way the world is right now, right? Because we've allowed the world to get so crazy and it's so polluted and so contaminated. There are people that are born with horrible disabilities, and there's families that just don't know what to do about that at this day and age because the medical bills are so costly. Imagine being a poor family and your child's born, and your child has some kind of major disorder. That's going to be very expensive, and of course, there are charities like St. Jude's and all the hospitals that raise money to help out children for families in need. And that's the thing, too. If people could keep their own money and not have to give it to the government, they'd probably be more willing to support needed charities and not necessarily have to be taxed to make it happen. Just like, again, these hospitals that do exist, is how they operate. But yeah, like I said, there could be an agreed to thing for the nation, and it could all be on a page. Again, it doesn't need to be an overwhelming bundle of laws that change, with the wind, with every new administration, with every new politician in office. Just a page of things that are undeniable that everybody can agree to and get down with. And again, then beyond that is state government. And that way, when your state government's super corrupt, most of us can travel to our state capital. For most of us, it's probably a 2-3 hour drive at the most. For some people, it might be 10-20 minutes away. But again, if people want to get to Washington, D.C. to hold their federal government accountable, well, what about us on the West Coast? I mean, are we supposed to have to take a week off so we can drive all the way, buy an expensive plane ticket? People like me don't even want to go in the airport. I don't want to go in the airport because I don't want to support the post 9/11 world. I mean, I have a few times, but I can count the number of times on my hand I've flown in the last 20 years. I feel like all of us should boycott the airports. Say, no, we don't want to go through your embarrassment machine and take our shoes off and get treated like terrorists, and God knows what this x-ray thing's doing to my actual body. I'm sure in 20 years they'll tell us it was also a major causer of turbo cancer. Again, it's a humiliation ritual, and all for the psyop that's still gone unchecked on 9/11. Yeah. Take your shoes. Oh, you left your belt on. Oh, what? Was there a dirty bomb under my belt? I mean, come on, man. It's stupid. No, but I can't even think of that many things that would be that necessary for one big agreement. I feel like First Amendment, Second Amendment, no taxes on income. I mean, there's probably a few more things I could think of. There probably should be rules about being destructive to the environment. You would think naturally people would not want to destroy their environment since we all have to live on it. But then again, you look outside, it's like, by the way, that's you guys want to help out the world, just walk down your street and pick up 5 pieces of trash a day. I've been doing that when I walk Sweet Girl. Just the bottom of the stroller has a trash compartment. It just blows me away out here, even in a small town agriculture, is how much garbage is along the road. I know sometimes, like, we're driving down the road and the windows are down and we had a wrapper in the back seat and it gets sucked out. I mean, we've all littered by accident like that in that way, but a lot of people just do throw their trash out the window. I think that could be some kind of agreement to why we need to treat the earth with respect. But yeah, I know the rules for a nation could fit on one piece of paper. It doesn't need to be that complicated. All right, if we don't have more calls, I can wrap it up. I thought we'd have more interest in this topic of how we get people to talk about the occult. I guess a lot of people used to call into the show have just abandoned for whatever reason. But let me say thank you to the people who chipped in. Thank you very much, Leper Messiah, who chipped in $5. Thank you, Trevor Pinkston, who chipped in a big 20. Light Senju, who sent in 10. Lil Cam, who became a member. Oh, I'll answer a couple more of these super chats. What's up, 856?
Hey, man, what's going on? Always appreciate your work. Sometimes I take off time from it just because of how groundbreaking and amazing it is. I just want to say, put my gratitude up front, man. I just wanted to let you know, with Mission Impossible, from your work, of course, I know the 322 and the Skull and Bones, Yale Society, and George Bush's, involvement in it. And I couldn't believe the Mission Impossible movie. Well, we say things like you can't believe it, but then, of course, there's 3 days left or 3 hours left and 22 minutes or something like that. And the submarine that Tom Cruise jumps out of is the George H.W. Bush.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the very next scene is the submarine George H.W.
And by the way, I forgot to finish making that point too, just about this latest Dan Bongino Epstein thing. Again, he came out on JFK's birthday, which is the 149th day of the year, which is the 35th prime, going with JFK, number 35, killed on I-35, but Skull and Bones equals 149 and 76. Jeffrey Edward Epstein equals 322. Skull and Bones is known as Order 322. Epstein, or not Epstein, but Bongino took his position on the 76th day of the year. Don't forget that George W. Bush was born on 7/6. And just for again, the base ciphers and how all these ciphers matter. Because Brian, if you're out there, I've seen you talk about how I pick and choose between different ciphers to make it work. Again, get back to me on the gematria of a lot of these things, including Skull and Bones, because look at every number. 149, 35th prime, big Catholic number. Again, Skull and Bones gets their symbolism from how the Templars bury their dead, a Catholic military order. Papa Bush, the 41st president, born on June 12th, the day leaving 202 days left in the year, which is the DC area code. And his son, George W. Bush, born on 7/6. The Georgia Guidestones came down on his 76th birthday on 7/6. That's also Daniel Coit Gilman's birthday, who founded the Johns Hopkins, whose name also equals 76. And the Georgia Guidestones were put up on March 22nd, 322. So I'm just saying again here, the how it fits in. Oh, and I forgot to put up there the word Bongino. His last name equals 76. So Bongino took office at age 76. And let's not forget that Donald John Trump equals 76, and he was the first Republican to get over 76 million votes, which was the headline on the Superior General's 76th birthday. But anyway, I appreciate you letting me know about that. So that's the latest Mission Impossible movie?
Yeah, it's called the Final Reckoning, and just like things you always hear about, when they say the end times, rumors of war and all this different stuff, and of course, it's the most elaborate, it's the final Mission Impossible. So I'm not going to try to spoil the movie, but he's trying to stop the nuclear bombs from going off and everything. And it's all this fear mongering that's always been going on. And, all the prophecy that's, been talked about, throughout time immemorial. It's like, it's all very, very just mind-numbing after you're a seeker like me, and I love you say truth seeker and all this stuff, because over time, you realize only a certain few things matter to bring it home, to resonate with you. And it's like I love your confidence and just how your confidence is the proof of your wisdom, of the things you've known over time. And it's like one other guy, because even if I'm behind the scenes, like the Buddhist books have like an anonymous nature to it. Like even if I link people up just by talking to them, some main people you should maybe check out. So the guy's YouTube Understanding, I've told you guys about this guy from forever ago. His name's Seven Bomar.
Yeah, he's good. By the way, one of the only people who ever shared my book in their own stream. He shared my first book, Letters and Numbers. He did like a couple hour long broadcast on it. Yeah.
Yeah, his Kundalini Awakening experience with Tetragrammaton origins, is actually him paying you homage by, showing that. And lately, so his most recent thing is about, the metaphorical black cube versus the Kaaba black cube, right? And then, so the black cube is a technology term that is actually all these artificial intelligence people, billionaires at the top, technocratic people are saying like, well, actually, we don't really know how, they're large language models and blah, 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 but we don't really know how it really performs. And the whole question of sentience in the future is, going to be crazy. But like the whole idea is that you're doing it, bro. Like the whole black box, like terminology is like this thing in technology where it's like, we don't know how it operates. It just does, right? Which is kind of scary. And the whole thing of AI in itself, like, the whole, Will Smith iRobot thing where they can turn on us or some shit like that. But like the whole point is that, you're breaking it down. If you're looking at that metaphorical technology term, black cube as the black, the Mecca, help me out here, the black box, the Mecca, then that would mean that, it's all related back to Kabbalah. And what you're doing is showing daily the Kabbalah, the Cabal, in other words. And so, yeah, I think he would receive your message very well. I feel like a pretty lonely soul sometimes. And, it's been forever since I called in, so I just wanted to say thank you. But he reached out to him, and this other guy, he's like known for debates. His name's Jay Dyer. I would like, you maybe check him out because he debates people a lot, and he's into Orthodox Christianity. And along my journey and everything else, I just listened to Terrence McKenna's breakdown of Hermetica or whatever, and it's the whole idea. There's the Hermetica corpus, which is related to Hermeticism, and it's the whole idea that like Gnosticism and Hermeticism and alchemy and even Chaldean from these ancient religions that not even really religions you can call them, but like different philosophical schools back then in like Byzantine era, like only 100 years after Christ or whatever. I feel like is more of the thread, where if we're not going to look for a God because I don't really believe in that as far as that goes, but at least there's a thread where it's showing something a little bit deeper than your cookie cutter religions that aren't really leading us to anywhere. But this guy maintains, the guy Jay Dyer, like the Orthodox religion is something that maybe can help us, whether it be morally or whatever. And so yeah, he's a debater. I know you go with the best of them, a debater, and I don't think you're pretty much undefeated. And then the other guy, James Evans Bomar, who just goes by Seven Bomar. And yeah, I love that that he showed you in his Tetragrammaton Origins videos years back about his Kundalini awakening experience. He said, yeah, check out this letters and numbers. And I was like, there we go, the marriage of like the super spiritual, badass OG, with Zach's, triple OG knowledge. And then this guy Jay Dyer, even though he's more or less, I'll wrap it up here, but he's more or less about the mainstream kind of Orthodox religion of Christianity. He does mega deep dives as far as the cult symbolism and everything. He wrote Esoteric Hollywood, and I think he has more than one book on Esoteric Hollywood about the symbolism and movies. And last thing is, you always talk about the word mockery, which was a really awakening word to me, because I was like, man, that's just what it is. I mean, how you said humiliation ritual, like how else can you better categorize it other than a mockery of acting like we're neophytes or, we don't know enough. Boom, there it is, 322 George H.W. Bush. And if my dad ever knew about this stuff, I would have turned to him and say, hey, look, there's a 322 in George H.W. Bush submarine. But, because me and my dad have went back and forth for 10 years, I just let it ride. But I figured I'd let you know.
About you bringing up the Mission Impossible movie, I just want to remind people that when the bridge came down in Baltimore on Pelosi's birthday, who's from Baltimore, at 1:28 a.m., when bridge collapse equals 128, and it came down 128 days from Francis Scott Key's birthday, you might recall that we covered that day that one of the buzzing headlines was Tom Cruise running across the bridge covered in blood for the latest Mission Impossible movie. I haven't seen the movie, so I wonder if there's something else there, but just talking about the whole nuke thing, I remember Baltimore is one of the cities that does get nuked in the sum of all fears. It makes you wonder, but I'll have to see the movie.
Sorry to cut you off. There was one city they had to, we have to, compromise our own city. So I don't think they've revealed that, and I'm not into kind of the doomsaying of, and I know I'm not insinuating that you are either, but the entity is maybe something to look at is 45, that front and back is what the artificial intelligence that's, taken over the nuclear sites in the movie. It's called the entity, and it's 4545. So I thought that was interesting.
Okay. I'll look into it. All right, man. Well, I appreciate the call. Thank you.
Hey, man. No problem, man.
Yeah.
See you.
Take care. We had a few more calls. Also, I was reading off some of these supers. Andres sent over two. He said, any chance we could get a Sam Tripoli's attention? Well, I've done 2 interviews with Sam Tripoli. Sam Tripoli, he said if there was a Mount Rushmore of truth speakers that I might be the first face on there. So yeah, he is a big fan of the work, but it's been a long time since I went on Sam Tripoli's show. I think he was told that he needed to stop talking to me, which is too bad because he cut me off for whatever reason. What's up, 513?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Hey, Zach, I just wanted to say, I think, man, I think people are the people who don't know about Gematria, they're just not even, a lot of people just don't want to, take in the fact that their whole reality is going to flip upside down once they realize that everything that they believe in is fake. And then on top of that, man, dude, you are shadow banned so bad. Like, how do I get ads in the middle of your live streams? I don't have that happen with anybody else but you. It's like, man, I think the people at B, they like, you are just too much of a threat, bro. I mean, that's how I look at it. And it's like, how can they, you know, stop you other than literally, you know, shadow banning you, man? I mean, because I don't understand how I watch it. I don't even watch shit on YouTube really other than like Gematria videos and shit. And everybody's shit pops up to be recommended to watch other than yours. If I don't go and look up your shit, it doesn't pop up. You know? So it's just like, the reality is, man, I think the people at B, you've exposed too much at this point, and they're just like, okay, we're going to try to set this guy up a little bit. That's my take on it. But, I mean, I could be wrong, but, man, I don't understand how you don't have more views either, man. I really don't.
Well, again, you can see the people who are shadow banned. Again, I'm going to point to Crank Lucas, who has nearly 1 million subs, who's very good at what he does, and the poor guy can't even get 1,000 views on his video. And I don't exactly know why they shadow banned him, because he's a comedian. My theory is that, if people don't know who Crank Lucas is, he's a rapper. He's very talented, and he's a comedian, and he kind of makes fun of how dumb hip-hop music is now. And I think they like, you know what? This guy exposes how it's a bunch of no talents today in our industry that we're promoting to these young people. We got to hide this guy. We don't want anybody to know that he even exists out here on YouTube. And it's sad because he deserves to get views, and he used to get monster views. I mean, he used to get millions of views. He's had a video that got over 30-some million views, and now the poor guy's getting between 100 and 1,000 views per video. He's definitely shadow banned, and again, it shows they'll shadow ban people for more reasons than just talking truth. Yeah, like I said, for the only thing I can speculate for him is he's making the industry look bad, because you could argue this guy's the most talented rapper on the earth right now in terms of who's out there and you can find. So, yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. And so I also was just thinking about it on like from another perspective. Like, you know, let's say, you know, if these people have been utilizing this information for thousands of years, man, then just the fact that you have like gotten people into it is like a huge threat for them. You know what I mean? Like if this whole process and structure is set up to, you know, keep people dumbed down and stuff like that, I mean, you've already fucked up some of their plans in a sense. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I my mind goes wild with this stuff. And right quick, Zach, before I let you go, not to get off topic, but yesterday one of the guys was calling about if other people are involved, and just to comment on that, they have to be, man. There's no way that last season in the NFL on a Saturday, which equals 109, the date numerology was number 21. Number 21 catches an interception at 1:09 p.m. on the money on a Saturday game? Come on, man. I mean, what are the odds? You know, Cincinnati Bengals played the Tennessee Titans, and it was a 35 date numerology. Number 35 catches an interception at 3:50 p.m.
We see that if you pay attention. If you pay attention, that kind of stuff happens all the time in sports, and a lot of times it does look scripted. I just remember in 2015, before the channel took off, I was pointing out those kind of things, and I wish I could show you guys the channel had been deleted, because there'd be all the comments would be like, dude, you sound like a lunatic. But now there's thousands of people who are aware of that, and they're making the same kind of observations, and they're realizing this stuff's happening a lot. Again, you guys, I mean, it's just like, I still can't believe, I didn't know Gematria back when Peyton Manning lost the Super Bowl to the Saints, but even before the game, I was saying to I was watching it with my family and my uncles and aunts and stuff, and I was saying, don't you guys see what's going on here? Peyton Manning's playing his dad's team that's never won a Super Bowl on this feel-good story after the flood, and they're back in New Orleans. And they're like, oh, stop with all that. What, you think, oh, so what he's saying, the game's rigged? I just remember watching. I remember when he threw the interception, he just lofted it like this lob into the secondary, no receiving around for an interception to put the game away. I was like, how can you be a world-class quarterback, face of the league, and throw a pass like that? I said, a 12-year-old me would have never done that. It drives me nuts that people can't. That's why I say it's a mockery. It's like they know that people are dumb. They know people can't see the obvious. They're idolizing all the wrong things. And again, the sports are a huge part of what they do. So, yeah, and it is all number ritual.
Yeah, it's insane that people literally just disregard it, you know. But that's all I had, Zach. I won't hold the line up, man. Thank you for at least getting me hip to it. I mean, it's hard for me to tell people about it a lot anymore. You know, I got to really feel like they are listening, because it's just, it goes in one ear and out the other. And
Well, look at my Patreon page. Look at who's all over my Patreon. How many trolls are on my Patreon page that just live on there every day? I'm probably the only person in the world that has a Patreon like that. Why are there so many agents and haters that just hang out there all day and try to control the page? And again, for real, say, well, why don't I delete them? It's because if you delete somebody on Patreon, they get an instant refund and they sign up 5 seconds later. So, but again, it's just, yeah, we got ops all around us, man. We are exposing things that aren't supposed to be exposed.
Yeah, man. But thank you, Zach. Hopefully shit gets better, but I'm rocking, so it's all good, man.
All right, man. Thank you. You have a good day.
Yep. Take it easy, man.
By the way, that guy last year went 3 for 3 in home run props, and he actually didn't put it all on one card, but one gentleman took all 3 of his picks and turned $20 into $20,000 in one day. That is the power of the knowledge. Now, I would never advise putting 3 home run props on a card, but a guy did do it. And again, a parlay with major home run odds, you can turn 20 into $20,000. A lot of people have done things just like that with this knowledge, but I'm just saying that man's voice did help change another man's life. And that is the power of being on the Patreon too, because you don't just hear from me, you hear from other good minds in the community. Nima, who's very generous, says, these other channels are backed by the network and their donations cannot be proven to be real. Don't get discouraged. Yeah, it's just like Andrew Wilson made $10,000 during my debate and was bragging about it afterwards. And why? Why would he have made $10,000? You know, yours truly got $100 in donations that night, which I'm grateful for. I was up all night, but I made 100. He made 10,000. He didn't make a single relevant point about anything and made himself look like a dumbass from anyone who has any intelligence. How did he make, for every dollar I made, he made 100? Yeah, it doesn't seem real. Logan Thomas said, I'd hate them to find my WMD in my pants. Why I don't fly. Yeah, indeed. Leslie from Canada with the big 14 from Canada says, just wanted to give thanks, Zach. Appreciate you in the community. Thank you very much. And Chris, who's had some nice wins off the knowledge, who came out and pounded pavement with us in Oklahoma City and New York, said the Florida Panthers, 66-61 all-time in NHL playoffs. If the Panthers win in 7, their record would be 70-63. Panthers coach Paul Maurice equals 70. Connor McDavid equals 63. Interesting decode. It was 4-3 last night. We liked Edmonton last night. It was a big fat 37 for Edmonton. If they won last night, it was all about the 37, as it usually is on Wednesday. You see how Edmonton's 37, so is Wednesday. If I'm not mistaken, the Panthers picked up their 37th total loss of the year last night. It was either that or they picked up their 37th loss all time versus Edmonton. It was one of the two, but... And the 4-3 thing happens all the time with Florida if you pay attention. Florida's 43, just like Panthers is 43. And again, about news and sports being connected, do you remember how the election at number 43 came down to Florida, where his brother was the 43rd governor and his daddy was the 43rd vice president? And again, today's the anniversary of Reagan dying. He was VP to Ronald Reagan, who died on this day, written 5-6. 5 years ago, Black Lives Matter was painted on Church Street on this day. Black Lives Matter, 5-6. Society of Jesus since the 16th century, 5-6. Church Street in D.C. is 16th Street. I don't know how people don't see it. I do have to be somewhere in 24 minutes. Shout out to Greg Owens, who sent a Cash App. I appreciate it. Again, if you guys can get in the habit of just leaving a comment, a period, a number, a question mark, anything. I wouldn't write too much because YouTube does delete comments, but it's real quick to just leave like a one word or one number. It does seem to be something that really does help, even when you're shadow banned. If you can get comments on your channel, likes are supposed to help, but they do take away likes. Shares are supposed to help. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys being extra generous with the donations in this stream. Well, David, I see David Corey's message about how it's true. I mean, it is true. It's crazy that they have made a movie about yours truly, but realize it's not really going to help my name recognition, right? Because my name's nowhere in the movie. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to show up in the credits. The creator of the movie hasn't reached out to me and said anything. And here we are, super shadow banned, literally getting 1% of the views that I would have got 8 years ago when my channel was at its pinnacle before deletion. The first time Trump was in office. Again, we're coming up on the 8th anniversary of that deletion. It'll be June 28th, which of course is Elon Musk's birthday. So, yeah, if you guys do want to phone in, now is the time, because again, I got to be out the door in about 20 minutes now. I'll run over some top headlines. This whole thing with the Trump-Musk feud, what have I always said about these two, right? They're two Jesuit puppets, and it's very evident. Again, it's 56-date numerology. It's funny how today has a 56-date numerology, and it can be written 5/6, and you have this feud between these two total Jesuit puppets. Trump, Jesuit educated at Fordham, and as far as I know, Musk was not Jesuit educated, but you can tell that he's a Jesuit puppet just based on all his rituals. Jesuit 78, just like Tesla. Again, declared the world's richest man for the first time ever, January 7th, 2021, the 78th death anniversary of Nikola Tesla. Then he joins up with Trump when Trump's 78 years old, like there's 78 cards in the tarot deck. Top cards are Trump cards. And again, in history, Donald Trump's uncle did the audit for Nikola Tesla when he died, audited his apartment and his papers. So Trump and Tesla have a historical connection. Now, at this time in history, these two, and you know, just this is where we are. And it's just like watching a TV show. You know, you always got to have some drama. You got to have some adversity. You got to have some clashes. You got to have some problems. These guys were just buddy, you know. And, you know, that's the kind of stuff that drives me nuts, too. The night that Elon Musk does the SS salute, I break it down that night, showing how it's all about Warner Von Braun. A lot of people said it was dumb. That Sarah lady, the Raging Tomato, they got a hold of it and started making fun of it that night. That's how I ended up debating Jim Bob and Andrew Wilson, because they're making fun of this information on their show. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, they released that on the very same day that he did the SS salute, Warner Von Braun's wife died. Just happened to happen on the same day. And again, these same people, you go back to them, and like I went into Jim Bob's live stream after that happened and left a comment. So I was like, oh, the number bullshit again. It's just like, oh, the number bullshit again. And for the person, Nemo, who just said these people are some kind of agents the way they're paid, yeah, I mean, Jim Bob doesn't even have that big of a following, but he is making bank every time he live streams. He probably makes at least $1,000 per 2-hour live stream. That's a lot of money. I mean, wouldn't you like to get paid $500 an hour just to talk shit and make fun of people? But yeah, that's all these other guys say. Oh, the number bullshit. It's like, okay, you made fun of the connection to Warner Von Braun, and then his wife dies the same day, and now it's just the number bullshit. Okay. Yeah, you're definitely an authority on all. And the other thing I hate about these people is they all claim to be Christians and holier than thou. It's like, I don't think Jesus ever said deny truth, mock truth. I don't remember any of that anywhere in the New Testament. But again, you claim the Christian thing. It's just a major grift. It's a major profit contributor. You get online and you pander to the Christians. It definitely adds to your bottom line. You know what else disappointed me is how bad the views were on this this video I just covered the other day. It hasn't even gotten to 1,000 views. And to me, this is just snap. Oh, I just covered it the other day. What's the high school track athlete transgender? What's their name? California. I just covered this story the other day on A.B. Hernandez. Did you guys see this video? Did nobody watch it because they didn't get a notification? Like, to me, this is the kind of stuff that it doesn't even have 1,000 views. This should have 10 million views, this video. Again, it just proves what we've been talking about for over a decade. If you missed this, again, A.B. Hernandez equals 53, like transgender, right? And this is the news on May 30th, which is the anniversary of the first official transgender person in history being born. And that same person died on May 3rd, 5/3. But I pointed out how this was the 99th anniversary of their birthday, and the story of A.B. Hernandez is coming out of Jurupa Valley, California, which happens to equal 99, like the United States of America, which was named on September 9th. And don't forget, United States of America the other way is 132, and it was named that 132 days from the anniversary of the establishment of the Illuminati, which was founded by the Jesuit who served the Catholic Church when Catholic Church is 132, like Roman Catholic, also like England. But anyway, I was making the point how this whole recent phase of transgender really is connected to Bruce Jenner, a last name that sounds like gender, who posed on the cover of Vanity Fair, which has the triple overlap. And of course, Bruce Jenner was a track and field star. And Bruce Jenner, his transition was predicted on Family Guy in an episode that first aired on May 3rd, 2009. That was 6 years before the whole I Am Kate thing. That happened in 2015. But think about that. So Family Guy predicted on the anniversary of the death of the first transgender person that Bruce Jenner, this track and field star, would become a woman, which is now the story. And there's been a lot of rituals on May 3rd. Or the other year, Dave Chappelle got attacked by a transgender person on May 3rd. So it's not the first time we talked about this date, but it's just like, wow, the way this all now comes together. The President of the United States threatening to end federal aid to the state of California over a high school transgender track and field athlete on the... And again, I didn't talk about the 53 pattern a gazillion times with these stories, but just on these perfect dates... And the video can't even get 1,000 views. And meanwhile, Asmongold broadcasting from Austin is somehow getting a bazillion views per video with no thumbnails, is talking about whatever, making between 20 and 40 grand a day off YouTube ad revenue, just putting out absolute dog shit that leads nobody anywhere to any truth. And we get why this is. I mean, I don't know who his parents are, but obviously a chosen one for whatever reason. And his face shows me that he's from the Saturday crew. But yeah, I mean, there's people on the YouTube thing creating the American dream that you could be a YouTuber and play video games and talk whatever shit you want online like Asmongold and make between 20 and 40 grand a day. Meanwhile, you can do groundbreaking research, figure out things that nobody ever connected the dots on before, put it together perfectly, talk about it year after year consistently, and then in 2025, it's like they really smack you in the face with it. And your video in 2017 on this topic, which probably would have got a few 100,000 views, now can't even get 1,000 views. Look at this. So let me pull up this video. It might have broken 1,000K today because it was on the cusp. It was on the cusp of 1,000 views. But let's see. Let's see if it got to 1,000. Look how many videos don't even get to 1,000 anymore. The Trump $45 million parade has 600 and some views. The death of Mr. Baseball in Japan. I thought Japan was nobody from Japan found this video? Not even 700 views. I mean, pretty amazing video too. Totally important information. How perfectly synced it was with Ohtani. Of course, the Dodgers going to win that day. The Tulsa mayor reparations thing. Not even 1,000. I see all these videos on, I don't want to talk about just all the stupid stuff. Black fatigue with millions of views. I thought YouTube was here to protect its audience and they didn't want bullying and all this stuff, but then that's why YouTube drives me nuts. Look at all the shit that they really promote, like all the, liberals are retarded, conservatives are dumbasses. This is the kind of stuff that's like all in at least my feed. It's like, how's this protecting people? This seems like it's like making America hate each other. Seems like YouTube wants everybody to hate each other. Meanwhile, I put out actual life-saving knowledge that could have saved a lot of people from turbo cancer and myocarditis and all this, and I'm deleted and get emails about how I'm dangerous, and they're keeping the platform safe. Drives me nuts. Where's my video on this A.B. Hernandez? It's like sift through all these horrible views. Did I skip it again? Where's it at? I can't even see it? Where's the video at? Have I made this many videos since I covered it? Oh, here it is. No, it doesn't even have 1,000 views yet. I'm pretty sure this is how many views it had when I woke up this morning and started working at about 4:30 a.m. Pretty sure it was at about 993 views this morning, too. Yeah, it's just, to me, it's just like, man, I feel like that video, people be like, wow, I got to share this with my friends and family. This is crazy. Guess not. Okay, I got 10 more minutes till I gotta go. Shout out to Kayla Decode Talker. She knows all about the 53 code. And you know who actually clued me in? It was when we were out in Oklahoma City. I'd been talking about 53 and the trans thing for a long time. And I'm remembering it like it was yesterday. We were out in Oklahoma City for the April 19th anniversary. And that was also very costly. There was a major financial punishment for my online work for doing that as well. Not to mention the IRS started harassing. But yeah, it was Kayla who actually gave us the piece about Christine Jorgensen in 2022, because we've been talking about the trans 53 thing forever, and even the Family Guy episode, but I did not know about Christine Jorgensen. And then when we saw that, we said, wow, look how this all comes together. I mean, born on 5/3/0, dead on 5/3. I remember when I first started doing this, people always leave the comments like, wow, I never thought of that. Gender and Jenner. To me, it just blows my mind. I'm like, I don't know how people don't see these things. You don't see Jenner and gender? That's what I mean, you guys. They got us in some kind of just spell where we just can't see what's right in front of our face. But yeah, shout out to Kayla Decode Talker. That was originally her find. Christine Jorgensen. All right. Last call for phone calls. Otherwise, I'm going to hop off a little bit early, so I'm over where I need to be on time. I'll give it one more minute, and if we don't have a call in the next minute, it is that 509 number on the bottom of the screen, 509-560-4982. If we don't have a call in the next minute, I'm going to say that's enough for today. So, and while we wait for that last minute, I'll just scan the world news real quick. Fox News happening now. President Trump delivers remarks at police roundtable event. Oh, great. MSNBC, Bill Gates' news network, rumored to be taken over by Elon Musk later this year. Trump floats terminating Musk's government contract. I thought it just ended. What contracts are left to terminate? I thought. Oh, does he mean his subsidies? Oh yeah, because that's right. Elon Musk, all his money does come from subsidies. He's the new NASA. Interesting. Oh, what a story. What a story. Okay. BBC. The BBC. What are they covering? Trump threatens to cut Musk government contracts as feud escalates. Let's see. Today is the 5th, so it must be 23 days before Musk's birthday. Donald and end equals 23. I guess this is the end of the relationship. And, of course, Trump's got the birthday on the 14th. So it is 9 days before Trump's birthday, and 23 is the 9th prime, and 9 also represents ends in numerology. Comes mostly from how long a baby comes to term. From my home area code, what's up, 503?
Hey, Zach, it's Logan.
Oh, yeah, of course, man. How you doing? Thank you for your super chat. I wish you would stop donating, Logan. You're another person that doesn't need to donate ever again, but I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, when I have it, I like to, give back.
All right. Well, I'll take you and your son out to eat next time I'm down in Portland again. But please, what do you got in your mind?
I was just floating an idea, thinking, I've seen, you like to sprinkle in reactions, throughout the week, throughout your videos. But what about just making a dedicated reaction channel? I mean, you are a good reactor. I would consider you I don't care about that. I vicariously live through, the people they watch a lot. And it might be a way of getting, making a 10, 20-minute video, maybe not even 20 minutes, maybe 10-minute videos. That seems to be what the algorithm likes.
Oh,
Of just reacting.
What you just said, Logan, I've actually been thinking about, because I know you're saying watch other people's videos and the stuff they're saying and react to it, correct?
Kind of like you were doing with Brian's, and I think that's what, I don't think a lot of people like Brian. He's almost, he's like a dead fish to hear and look at, but it's the reactions that kind of fuel his channel, especially when it was the police stuff, the body cam footage. That's just trending stuff.
Sure. Sure. I think it is a good idea, and I think it is worth a shot. And I was actually thinking about doing it where it's a call-in show, and I'll tell people to have their clip queued up for me, and tell me where. Like, I want people to get in the habit of, like, here, I want you to watch this video, and I want you to go to this minute marker and hear this, and maybe look over the stuff that's trending, and maybe get in the habit of debunking a lot of this BS that's out there, because I guess that is kind of what we need to combat. YouTube and social media is the new mainstream, and there's a lot of misinformation, and I have focused on debunking the news, but you're kind of right. People don't even really watch the news anymore. They're watching other streamers. So, yeah, I think that is a good idea.
Well, I will try to get into the habit of time stamping things if it does come to fruition, even if it's just, texting you or emailing you these things that way. But yeah, if I'm able to participate on the days, if you were to make a channel or just have like a dedicated space on your channel for that might be a way of sure.
All right. Well, you know what? Wednesday and Thursday are going to be the best days of the week for me to stream. I'd like to stream every day, but it's just hard with everything I have going on right now. I'll try and do a stream tomorrow, and we can experiment. And if everybody out there likes this idea, tomorrow when I open up the phone lines, if you got things you want me to respond to, I think what we'll do is just you can email me at GematriaEffectNews@gmail.com. And in the email, please have the link for the video. And you have to write, go to this timestamp. That's what I want you to respond to. If you don't have the timestamp, I can't be searching through a 2-hour video to figure out, what you want me to look at. So, yeah, I like it.
Well, I will try to get a couple queued up and hopefully be a part of that stream tomorrow.
All right,
Looking
all right.
forward to it.
All right, appreciate it, Logan. All right, take care, man. See you. Yep. Yeah, the weekends are pretty much no-goes for me for streaming anymore. Sweet, and I don't blame Sweet Lady. She kind of gets mad now about, she wants me to spend more time with the family, and rightfully so. And I do try to do that because I do enjoy spending time with baby girl. But at the same time, man, I'm still super passionate about this work, and I'm super mad that it hasn't made the difference in the world that I thought it would when I set out on this path over a decade ago. All right, I got to take one more call, and then I got to run out the door. What's up, friend in LA?
Hey, I just wanted to add to that 53 point and the track star. That South Park episode, Strong Woman Competition with the Panther. When they're doing the interview, the girl is wearing 503 on her jersey.
That's right.
And
That's
the
right.
man is wearing 241, the 53rd.
That's
round.
right. We've actually covered that. I think that might be in my original post. Let me see real quick. I know that we've covered that in the past, and the problem here is the post I put it in might have been deleted by Google. But yeah, that's a really great reminder. Yeah, Family Guy's had some epic predictive programming, including Scalia's death. Let me see if this is the shot. Shoot. I know that I used to have a post that showed that right from the Family Guy episode.
Yeah, South Park.
Or hold on, let me try. Maybe that's where I'm getting confused. Maybe it was South Park. Hold on, South Park and hold on, South Park. What? Wait, was that episode for Bruce Jenner too?
No, it wasn't about Bruce Jenner, but the character's name was Heather Swanson. It was the Strong Woman competition, I think it was.
Yeah, I know that we've shown this screenshot before, but it's a long time ago. Hold on, I'm seeing if. By the way, on my old website, there's these draft chapters of a book I never put out.
Yeah, it's just crazy that this is even a conversation. This whole gender thing.
No, I know that you're 1,000,000% correct out what you said, because I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that now. Okay, so it wasn't the same Family Guy episode, but it was South Park, also about trans. Jeez, man, draft chapters forever long. I should have put this out as a book. God, I tried. Somehow all the images that were in this have been taken away. Snap. Wow. Okay, sorry, I'm scrolling forever looking for what I'm trying to find here. I'm gonna have to get that image again because it didn't pop up, but I know what you're saying is true.
You could just look up on YouTube South Park trans athlete, and it'll come up right away.
All right.
The thumb. It's right in the thumbnail. The two jerseys with the numbers on them.
Okay.
But then also another point.
Yeah, right here, you guys. Here's what he's talking about. 241, 53rd prime. It looks like Randy Savage in 503. I mean, how obvious.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Also another thing. Did you ever notice that 3 minutes and 22 seconds? 3 minutes and 22 seconds was 202 seconds.
Yeah, I've always talked about that. Like Skull and Bones is 202. We were talking about that for years, and if you go back to the shooting in Colorado at the Kroger-owned market, they said they tallied the last body at 2:02 a.m. And I haven't talked about this for years now, but I'm pretty sure the prior Kroger mass shooting was 322 days earlier, if I remember correctly. So, like, look at that. I think, like, the first stream I did about 322, I even, like, brought, I was like, by the way, 322 in the morning is the 202nd minute of the day. And then the next thing you know, like, the latest detail is that they got the last body figured out at 2:02 a.m. I'm like, you see what I mean, you guys?
There was one shooting on March 22nd, and then another one 322 days later. Something like that.
Maybe that's how it was. Yeah. Yep.
All right.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate your work. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's the kind of stuff that just frustrates me about how this has not gone viral, because we've just had so many moments like that in history where we're talking about something so specific and then it happens. Anyway, I got to hop off, you guys. Thank you again to everyone who hits the like and the share, who can just leave even a comment, and your comment can be a period. Yeah, just literally dropping a period in the chat helps the algorithm. Comments obviously make a big difference. Gematria sent in Muhammad Solomon. Equals 142 and 61, like the 6-1 date. And it was 142 days before Netanyahu's birthday. Yeah, of course it was. And you're thinking about 201 and Arturo Sosa. I'm glad you brought that up, because I realized I overlooked that in my presentation. Of course, State of Israel 201. Yep. Thank you, Gematria Sense. All right. And by the way, for everyone who's like, oh, Balfour Declaration, small hats. By the way, look into that Rothschild on the Balfour Declaration and how he died 201 days from his birthday. That's the calling card of the Jesuits. Just like the first prime minister of Israel died 201 days after the anniversary of Israel's establishment. All right, we'll leave it there for now. And until next time.